We're here. Episode 65. We always have technical issues, so I apologize. We just cannot get it together. We even tried. We tried. I got here at 9:10. I had everything set up, and then it's always going to be that way. It's always going to be that way, but it's okay.
We'll get there.
Episode 65. The dude abides. The dude agrees. What was the title of the dude?
The dude approved.
Approved. Yes, I approve. I abide. Everybody, we have Matt and Alan. What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
Good to be here. Good to be here. I like being left with the task of coming up with the titles because I have to try to think like, okay, Greg will laugh at this, Alan will laugh at this. Well, how can I, combine the three? The first one I had sucked, so I'm glad I didn't roll with that. Glad you approve.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go to the think tank and come up, use your mind grapes and have a round 1, 2, and 3. And I do that, some of my videos I'll redo, but I get it.
I wish I could have a redo on a lot of things I say and do. So if only you could have a rough draft for both things you do.
Well, the good thing is when you're not live, you can redo it on here, but in real life, I often put my foot in my mouth, so it doesn't go so well.
That's the best thing about being in front of a bunch of kids all day is that when I put my foot in my mouth, they laugh and I just move on with life like nothing happened. There's no adults in there to be like, really?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know.
Yeah. You got a good audience. That's a good audience.
And I can make a fool of myself daily and nobody will know it. So that's good.
I get that. That's good. So episode 65, we are how many days? About 10 days from our ending of the video response contest.
That's right.
So you guys have a few days left to do a video response to get $25 at your favorite store, the card store.
It basically is, isn't it?
It's the card. It's your card shop. It's eBay. Don't forget to give us a video response on YouTube. We want a topic and we want you to show the coolest card you're looking at right now that you just can't stop looking at. That's what we want to see. It is a video response for our 500 subscribers, and one lucky winner will be getting $25 to your favorite card shop.
I was going to say, thank you for all of you who have already done videos for us. I feel like there are people who actually really watch the show and are not just attracted by the fact that we're giving out cold, hard cash. I don't know what the limit is for attracting those people who just come out of the woodwork when there's free money or free cards to be given. Right. It's really not $25. So I would like to know what that amount is where you just get the randos like subscribing from some other part.
3 digits or more, right?
Yeah, the internet and coming in and just like going hard for it.
So you think it's 50 or 100? What do you think it would be?
100 would definitely do it. I feel like as long as the word got out to somebody who signs up for all of those things, because you go on some of those, like Blowout, for example, and if somebody's giving away a free card, suddenly like somebody who never posts, 10 people come out of the woodwork. We need those people.
No,
I mean, $100, we would get some entertaining responses for sure.
I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
I mean, it's a big deal. 500 subscribers. Like I never even came close on my own channel. I think I never even made 200.
Nah,
so
same.
Yeah.
It's all 3 of us combined. We're gonna have a lot of content, so it's gonna be cool. But I think $100 is a good number that will probably get some completely random people. But honestly, I would like to see that. I would just like to see. Tell me what you want me to talk about.
I would love seeing that. I want to see people come out of the woodwork random, just as random as possible. Going for that $100 eBay.
I'm Jim Bob from the tractor store, and I like y'all to talk about them tractors I got now.
What about the plastic chair collector guy on YouTube, man? I need him to do a video response. That would be gold.
I'm down. I don't know how much I have to talk about plastic chairs, but I'll try my best.
Here's my favorite chair. This is a 1945 circa, whatever, some barbecue that so and so attended. I don't know. Like, it'd be
Passionate
funny.
though, genuine, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we laugh
Yeah.
about it. It is hilarious, but you don't do that unless you're really into it. So
You got to
Yeah.
give that dude respect, man.
Yep.
He's passionate about that, just like we are cards, and I
Mhm.
prefer to meet him than somebody who's fake as heck. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe next time at 1,000, we'll do $100, and we'll see who all comes out of the woodwork.
Oh, that would be
And
fun, man. I hope it happens.
gives us
I hope it happens.
right now.
only for our entertainment, right? Not for the quality
Yeah.
of the videos. Right?
At that point, it's definitely for our entertainment. But
Yeah.
$25 is going to get the normal people, I think. So it's been fun to watch the responses. We've got a good amount already, and it's about to end. But I've enjoyed watching them and listening to the topics. Some of them we've kind of talked about. Some of them we've very much talked about. But I like hearing what people have to say, and I like seeing the cards. It's just nice to have that interaction. Everybody always talks about the YouTube interaction in the community, and I agree. Just having that kind of response and comment and in discussion and dialogue, it's really fun, and it's a little different than Facebook. Facebook, you tend to do a thumbs up, or Instagram is a heart, but YouTube is a little more dialogue related. So I like that. I like that aspect of it.
Greg, can you talk for a minute about, we had this discussion real quick in the chat, is about when Bill posted his video, the ending of his video, his suggestion for our channel. I think that has been a goal of mine on Instagram, but it had a really big impact on you, I've noticed, as of late, as far as like the community aspect. It'd be cool if you talked about that for a minute, because you were pretty moved by it, I
was actually. So Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, he watches our videos, and he is often commenting, and I appreciate that. And in his response, he said, it's not a bad idea. Maybe you guys could watch a few more videos of other people and comment and be in the discussion. And that got me thinking, sometimes I focus so much on my video, and then I won't watch a ton of videos. So I need to do that more. You get what you give, and that's, it's like the golden rule. So I really feel like just watching some videos, being involved in some discussions and comments, and just being more part of the community, I guess, is what I'm trying to do. So I've been watching a lot more videos. I've been commenting. I've just been trying to interact with the community, because I definitely want to be a part of it. I don't just want to be somebody who expects to get something and is not giving back.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a good point and made by the right person. I don't know how Bill does it, but he responds to every single one of my Instagram posts, every single one of my YouTube posts. Like he's one of the only ones who responds to all that stuff. I don't know how he does it, but I mean, obviously it means that you have to put in the effort. We all have the same limited amount of time, so it's just a matter of doing it. So that was a good point. I also thought he had a really good suggestion for a discussion topic about why 90s collectors are generally player collectors. I think he thought that was strange, because apparently, and I never even thought about this, but in a lot of other sectors, people collect sets, I guess, right? Or I don't know how else you would, or team collectors. But the 90s is like 95% player collectors. So I would love to do a segment on that. That's interesting to me.
Yeah,
but it's up to I collect Ichiro, right? And Southern Card Collector. You guys are the inspiration, I think, for one of the topics we want to cover today. In particular, I know that I collect Ichiro has been putting up some Ichiros, right? Is that right?
For sale. Yeah.
For sale.
No, it's PSAs.
Does that mean you are condensing your collection? Are you trying to upgrade to just a few cards that are huge, or what's the plan? We were thinking about the very same types of questions about our collections as well.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead, Greg. Go for it.
Go ahead.
I was just going to bounce off what Alan said. On Instagram, like you said, Greg, it's very much a heart, like scroll, it very quick. And, I don't know about you guys, but I know, Greg, sometimes you put some description. Alan, I know you always put a description within your posts. I mean, some of us take some time and explain like the whys and the hows of how a card becomes part of our collection. And, it's been really cool to go and ask the questions, like going to Instagram and asking collectors like, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? And them doing it back. Like you said, you get what you put in. And that's been part of the best part about Instagram lately is, you know, you meet all these different people and you ask them questions and generate all these discussions. And so I really like that he gave us that suggestion. It's going to be fun to, I mean, there's another father-son channel that just subbed to us and we watch their videos. I mean, that kind of stuff's awesome. So
yeah, I actually watched a guy and his child open up a 95 Finest box.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that was really cool to watch. The child was super involved in sorting out the cards, and you know, they asked, oh, they got a refractor, and they were like, oh, is this a good person? And the dad was like, no, he didn't really pan out. And the child said, well, maybe we'll get another one. And it was just so cool, you know, and they did. They pulled another one, and it was really cool because it had that like youthful hopefulness where they were like, we'll get another one. It's gonna be okay. You know, like it was just really, really cool to watch. But I definitely like watching that and commenting and being part of that conversation. And you know, Matt, you've got a big Instagram where I think you've got quite a few followers and you know, conversations going on, and and it is, you get what you put in. That's what it is. You know, if you can't expect people to want to be a part of your stuff if you're all about yourself.
Absolutely. And I even had a guy reach out to me and he said, what's the difference between us? We have the same amount of followers. Nobody really comments on my post. And I said, I think I recorded a video for him, which I think Greg watched because I made it private, but I just explained, like, you got to reach out and make connections with people, find other accounts that you like, and just ask them like, hey, you know, I really like this card. Like, where did you find this? Like, just something to get the conversation going. And we've all done that before in Facebook or whatever, but I think it's some people just don't think about it because they're busy, like Alan said. And so I've noticed that he's, you know, done that a little bit more, and that's great. Love seeing that. So,
yeah. So I actually this might help people and might not, but I actually try to reconnect if it's been a while, or talk to somebody I haven't talked to, because you know, you have your daily people that you talk to every day or every other day, but I actually make it a point once a week to try to message somebody that I've talked to that I haven't talked to in a while, just to catch up, just to say, hey, you know, I messaged a Ripken collector the other day because it's been a while, and I try to do that once a week, just talk to somebody, anybody, even a new person, just to have a conversation, even if it lasts 2 hours, 1 minute, 5, you know, whatever it is, you know, just reach out. So I've been trying to do that once a week to just have something with somebody who I've either connected with or I'm trying to, you know, learn or meet.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Alan, and you got that bonds group that you're constantly kind of, you know, chatting with or every now and then. I mean, that was huge for you when you were getting into collecting bonds. If you think back, you know, I think that's invaluable, having groups of people like that.
I think you guys are right. My collection rests heavily on the relationship that I've made with a lot of people. Like, it'd be fun, I think, to go through my collection sometime and look at how many cards, the big cards that are the ones that are tucked away, are a result of somebody else, a friend, getting in touch with me about it, conversation that I may have had. I think very, very few of those cards would be one that I just sort of scoured the internet for and finally found out they do exist, but they're in the minority. So that tells you how important it is, how important people are in the hobby. So you guys couldn't be more right about that. But for me right now, I'm not really picking up too many cards. So I think it actually coincides with how much I'm interacting with the community overall as well. I think those two things go hand in hand. I haven't had conversations like Greg was talking about with people that I normally would speak to every other week or even every other day. So that hasn't been happening as much, and that corresponds very closely to how many cards I've been picking up, which is virtually none. I just don't have the time right now. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, right. Perfect timing.
I don't have time for that. So, you know, it's it's a nice little nugget of time to be able to get on with you guys for an hour every other week. It's
well,
nice.
shout out to everybody else. If you hear Alan's why he's busy, say something to him, because I don't think guys like that or us, when we get busy, I don't think we don't reach out on purpose. It's because, we got stuff going on. So
that's what it boils down to. This becomes primary until the real life hits. Yeah. And then, you go into real life mode where you're like, I don't have time for the hobby right now. That's got to go on the back burner. And when things are going, like when you're in autopilot and things are going perfectly, you're going to work and your family life is good and everything's just smooth. Then you get back into the hobby and you're like, I got time to invest and collect and buy. But then when, one thing blows up, you got to shut it down. You got to focus on the true meaning of life, which is family and everything that comes with it, work, just so you can, have the family and provide for the family. So I get it. You just gotta be realistic. You can't be in the hobby if your life is, it's the hierarchy of needs, and you gotta support those.
That's why I'm happy when Alan actually is able to get a video up, because I know that it's a lot harder for you than for me, especially, to get videos made, let alone, Greg. I mean, you guys are both a little bit busier than me at times. So yeah, I think hopefully people remember that. Sometimes people don't reach out just because they don't want to. It's because they really are consumed with everything. And this is our only real Alan time that we get. So it's nice to have you here, man. Sure.
Appreciate that.
Hey, so real quick, I wanted you, Alan, you asked the question.
Yeah.
And he says a few underlying reasons, but he's got everything raw already.
Okay.
And then he says he's got caught up in the registry game, and it's honestly something that he starts to dislike. He doesn't like the idea of having to have a PSA graded card.
Interesting.
And then he followed up with the whole BGS issue with their prices dropping like crazy, and the whole Mint Gem, True Gem, Gem Mint Plus. We have all seen PSA 10s that don't look like a 10, but still brings a 10 price. So
I couldn't agree with you more about the disparity between like a PSA 10 and the price of a PSA 10 and anything else underneath it. It's completely irrational. I've also fallen prey to it sometimes. And when you take a step back, it's absurd. There should not be any reason why a PSA 10, which is indistinguishable sometimes to the naked eye from a PSA 9, there should be no reason why it should be like 5 to 10 times as much. Yeah. That's one of the things. It's one of the things I noticed, actually, because we'll talk about it. But I went to a card show recently, and I saw that there, and I had to take a step back and just realize, okay, I need to. Yeah, I shouldn't even think about paying 10 times for a card just because it's in a PSA 10 slot. That's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think.
So let's go into that topic. You went to a show recently. What show did you go to?
I did. I went to a show recently. It was the Burbank show down in Southern California. I took advantage of that to go down there and take my family down there too, to show them SoCal. So that was great. I got to go to the show for one day. They left me alone for one day, which is amazing. Have a whole day to yourself. I didn't know what to do. I was hard. I went 6 hours. I just went 6 hours, combed the entire show floor to find every single Barry Bonds that existed in the room. Nice. And then figure out what I was going to do at the end of all that. And I had there was no plan going in. I didn't think I was going to buy something or not buy something. I really had no plans going in, but I did want to know what there was there. It took me about 45 minutes to an hour to get in, waiting on in the sunlight outside. And that wasn't even the worst of it, because I got there in the morning. I actually stayed at the venue where the show was being held. It was the Airport Marriott in Burbank. So I just walked downstairs and got in line. Anybody who got there a little bit later waited 3 hours to get into that show. It was insane.
Did they only allow a certain amount of people in, or what?
They had to. The venue was tiny compared to the amount of people that were in there. I think they must have allowed more than the fire marshal would have permitted, because if there was something that went down, there's no way you'd be able to get everybody out. It was so packed. There were times when you couldn't move laterally, you couldn't move forward. You're just kind of like stuck, kind of like in a huge music festival. You guys have ever done that? Yeah. You just hear, just like, I hope there's no stampede, because you're just going to be pushed wherever the crowd goes.
So what kind of room are we looking at? What kind of what room? Is it
It was,
a
it
big
was the convention center. Yeah, it was the convention center, but it wasn't a big one. You know, you've seen big ones where it takes up like the entire floor of a major hotel building.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it. I mean, I think what it is it's the airport Marriott. So I don't think many massive conventions happen there. It's like a place you sleep if you miss your flight or something like that. So it's convenient because anybody who wants to fly in can just stay there, go downstairs, and go to the show. So I understand that those are the advantages. But I'm going back to what you guys asked. One of the cards I picked up there, I don't know if it's too early to show it now, is this card here. It's the 1999 Century Legends Epic Signatures. This is the Century Collection, the gold parallel.
Wow, that looks like a $6,000 card.
Well, it's not a $6,000 card, that's for sure. Otherwise, there's no way I would have been able to grab it. But the card looks, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the card looks great. And when it's white bordered, you can't really assess the edges and the corners as much as you can when there's a full bleed card, from like the 90s. So honestly, like I have another copy of this card. I have another copy of this card that I graded myself, and I got a PSA 10 on it. And so actually part of the reason that I got this card was I was thinking along the same lines as I collect Ichiro. Maybe I can just sell or trade the PSA 10 for a card I really, really need, because there's just so much cachet to the PSA 10. It's not worth, even though I graded it, and it's the first PSA 10 that I've gotten for myself.
That's pretty epic.
It's epic, right? But I mean, like I am considering moving that card and then keeping this one because they look the same to me. And that's right along the lines of what I Collect Ichiro was saying. Those are decisions you have to make when people are asking this much money for a card. It wasn't like this before. We talked about this on a previous episode, where Bond's autographs were anywhere between $50 to like $150, maybe $200 for like an autograph out of 50, like an autographics out of 50. And now we're talking thousands of dollars,
thousands.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, but that's like got to be the biggest increase of any major 90s player in baseball. Honestly, I even Jeter didn't go up that fast. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys coming into the hobby. I was just figuring, you know, like those guys that we grew up watching, if you were born in like 1998, you still watched Bonds and A-Rod, Pujols, Frank Thomas in their heyday. You know, you grew up watching those guys play, even if you were born that late in the game. And those people, they're not even at the age where you just sort of slow down and start collecting baseball cards yet. So all those people are slowly coming in. I've noticed that a lot of the new Bonds collectors are younger than me by quite a bit, you know. And I'm just like, oh, you like Bonds too? You know, aren't you too young to like Bonds? But no, you've been around a long time.
Well,
my career, so.
Ben Mercer and I went to the Nashville Card Show, and I was telling you guys there were like 7-year-olds negotiating $1,200 trades, and it was insane. It was an insane thing to see. But yeah, I agree with you. There's 1998, you know, babies saw some of those people, and it's just a whole plethora of basketball coming in. It's just a wild, wild west out here right now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I mean, how cool is it to, you know, travel, go to a show, not expect, because we know you go to a show, you don't expect to get anything, right? And not only find something of your player, but have it be significant enough to walk out of there with like a card that most 90s collectors, I mean, I never saw what an A-Rod looked like in person. So, I mean, that's a pretty substantial addition. And that's awesome, man. Glad you're able to find that.
I was sorry, just to jump in. I was walking on clouds that day because I spent 6 hours scouring the floor. I was just beat. I went outside, dug into my backpack for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that my wife made.
Hey, there we go. Good job.
I sat on the floor and thought about life decisions, you know. And then I just got enough like blood sugar back to be able to think again. And then I was like, maybe I should make a pass at my 2 favorite cards. Like I looked maybe 20 cards that I found, and these were the 2 best. And that was the second one that I went after. There was another one that I really liked as well. So I was walking on clouds. I was like, kids, we're going to the pool. Let's go.
And ice cream. Did you get ice cream too?
Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, I did the same though. You remember when I went and bought the 8 out of 10 because Greg was with me. He's like, Matt, don't make any rash decisions. I'm like, all right. So I'm like pacing around. I found a Yelich and a Griffey that I traded. But before I did that, I just went away, had my PB&J, and talked to some guy who was getting all these Hall of Famers autographs on this huge custom poster he made. And it like got me back into like, I need to get this card. I need to leave the National with this card. And I made it happen. So see, Greg, sometimes stepping away is a good thing, man.
Sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10 years, couldn't find anything near him. It's a different world. I feel like we're in, because remember when it was so just dead and dry back in the day. I collected 2006 to 2008 and it was pretty dead then.
Yeah, well, there's nothing here for sure. So
no, there wouldn't be.
Yeah, there used to be a card shop here. I see your buddy made it to the chat. Do you see that?
Yeah, Ben.
Cool.
So he lost out on a Pujols to a 14-year-old.
Had a Facebook deal. Wow. Oh boy.
Times are changing, man.
Make sure he follows through with the payment, though. You might still be able to pull that one out.
Email the seller. Hey, just in case, you know.
Yeah. Alan, so with your card, your Burbank cards, you pulled the audience. Are you happy with the results you got about your comments? Because you asked the crowd.
I did.
Are you happy with the results, or what do you think?
Well, okay, it's just perfect that Ben came on, because he and you helped me get the card that I actually traded for this card. I didn't spend $1 at the show, which was great. I didn't want to, but I would have if I had to. I just didn't know if either of these cards were worth springing for. So I ended up trading the card that I got in Nashville, that I got from the Nashville show. It's the 2000 MVP glove auto, numbered out of 25. That card is absolutely sick. I mean, if Bonds is ever regarded as one of the greatest players of all time by more people, that's the kind of card that you see now from Michael Jordan. That's easily $10,000, $20,000, $60,000 left and right. So it's a gorgeous card. I love the card. It's one of my favorite Bonds autographs. The thing is, we talked about this last time. I already have a copy of it. Unreleased sort of replacement issue, but it has a sicker swatch. It's in better condition. So I made the decision to go laterally, because I traded a card I had for another card I had, right? And I asked the Facebook group who won the deal, like who had the better part of the deal, and it was actually split right down the middle. It surprised me.
Really?
There was another copy on eBay, and it was sitting at $500 for a long time, and it spooked me. I thought, man, maybe I overpaid for this thing by a lot, because I paid way more than that. And then the card ended at $2,200 plus fees and everything. So I don't know my values that much. I think it was a lateral trade. I'm happy with this because I don't have any misgivings about this card. That card had a little smudge on the like out of 25. It wasn't a smudge. It was just, I think they tried to write 1 and then tried to go over it with a 2, and that's all it was. It was really minor, but that was like enough for me to say that card is not perfect. This card, from what I can tell, is perfect in every way. And you figure there's a lot more people who collect this card. So I don't like this card as much personally as that card, but I already have that card. So if I'm going to think about a card that I'm going to use to do a deal in the future, what card is best for that? And those were the terms that I was thinking in when I made that deal. So I'm no regrets.
Yeah, but now you have one of that and you have one of this. Are those cards that you're actually going to be able to get rid of? Or I can't get rid of anything I only have one of, you know?
No way. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm probably going to keep this one. And my master plan, my diabolical plan is to move the PSA 10 version of this for a Bond card I really need. And I think I might be able to like make that happen with that card, just because.
Okay.
That'll be fun. You going to do a video on that too? Because it would be kind of cool to see like the story arc of that how it all pieces together when you get that trade.
Of course. And I was surprised to hear, like, there's a major Griffey collector, high-end Griffey collector named Joe in the group. And he said, and another major player in the industry, Rodney, very knowledgeable, also collects Griffey. and they both said that they would have kept the glove autograph out of 25. I can't blame you because that's literally one of my favorite cards in my collection. I don't think if I didn't have two, there's no way, 0% chance that I move that card. Zero, like none. So I'll have to come up with the money to buy a card I want, or I'm just not going to buy it. It's not available. So that's the only reason that happened.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Well, I can't move anything I have one of, and so it's easier if you have two, because then you feel like you can just keep the better one. But I get that.
And okay, and quickly then, this is the other one. This is the first card that I needed because I don't have a copy of this card. This was the one I really lusted after. It's the first one I went after, and I was able to do a deal. But I traded a major card. I traded a 1998 Essential Credentials Now of Vlad. It was a PSA 10. So, for people who like PSA 10s, the multiplier is massive on that card. And I actually took a bath, I guess you could say. Like, I did not get the amount of value back on this deal as I may have gotten on the other one. But I didn't mind because that was a side PC guy, and this is a card I don't have in my collection. So for me, usually I like to squeeze every dollar out of a situation like that. But I was like, I want this card. I'm not going to threaten it by being too particular about the numbers. So,
well, you remember back at some point we had this discussion. You were buying the Mannies and the Greg, and you were using those as potential trade bait for when that bond popped up. And I guess this is the bond. So essentially, your plan has come to fruition because what you wanted to do has now happened, right?
That's a really amazing, great way to look at it. I didn't think about it that way. I took a step back and I realized that I wanted $1,500 for that Vlad. So it became a $1,500 bill. You know what I mean? So that's just a $1,500 bill that was in my box. And I was like, I could just turn this into actual money and then go buy something. And maybe that would have been the smarter play because I ended up getting this card, which valued at about $1,000, I think. I mean, that's on the high end. So that's on a good day. You can ask $1,000 for this. And then I flipped the coin with the dealer. Like he wanted to pay me another $300 on top.
Literally
flip the coin. Literally flip the coin. I wanted 500. I said I'll do it for 400 because I love this card. And he said, "Why don't we flip a coin?" I just saw him flip a coin for $1,000 for a $60,000 MJ deal. So I was like, "This is nothing." And he came back and said, "How about we just split the difference at 350?" I was like, "You know what? I'm a gambler. Let's do this. This is more fun." So we flipped the coin.
So you literally did it. I thought Greg was messing around.
He said heads. It landed heads. So he only gave me $300 on top in addition to the card.
Alan, you love to live dangerously, man. Good for you.
So it was fun. Memory.
I just wanted to,
right there.
Dude, that's the first thing I thought of, Casino Royale, dude. It's like, no way.
James Bond right there.
Like, we needed to be there filming, man. I'm telling you,
I know.
We needed to be there.
I would have hit
epic.
the slow motion button.
As you can like see it going heads, tails down.
I mean, it's fun there for a while, like about 5-6 seconds. So
like Inception, huh? Like with the top spinning.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say too, Alan, first of all, I pulled the base auto of that one time out of an a 2000 EX box. I don't know who bought it from me. It was way back when I first got into 90s. So to see you have the parallel of that is really cool because I remember pulling it from the pack and it fell out and landed on my bed. I was like, whoa, Barry Bonds. So I wish I would have kept it so I could have eventually sold it to you many years ago.
The base Barry Bonds autograph? Oh, my God, that is.
Well, and I got like $80 for it because that's what it was going for back in 2016 or whatever. Like that's what it was going for. But anyways, second thing I was going to say, like that difference in value too. I mean, you got cash, but the fact that you're going from Vlad to Bonds, I'm different than you, but that's such an easy decision. If I had like a Martin Brodeur and it was amazing and I got a flurry out of it, it'd be gone. Like
even if you lost a couple $100 on the.
Oh yeah. Especially because you can't value the rarity of a card like that. When's the last time you saw that card ungraded or graded just on the open market out of 50? Like you're probably not going to see one again for years. So, depending on who's selling, but just like on the open market on eBay, you're not going to see that card. So I think I think that's an easy decision. I mean, I'm glad you did that.
I'm in agreement with Matt here because I think Vlad or whoever, whatever player it is, if there's a card that I really want of my player and I just am not seeing it anywhere, I'm willing to throw away the investment side of me to get this card because when am I going to see it again? Am I going to have to wait 5 years? Am I going to have to wait 4 years? Who knows? I will gladly throw away 300-400 bucks on a trade for somebody that I really don't care much about versus my love. I would do it. I would do it
in a hot second, right? I mean, the value disparity Joe said might have been $600 or $700, and he could have been right, but I was thrilled, and I'm still thrilled. I don't regret it, but it was a hard one for me because I do like a good condition card. That's a very hard card to get a PSA 10 in, and it happens to be from my favorite set. So the idea was that I was going to collect some of my favorite players from the era, all in that set, just because it's my favorite all-time set. But slowly I've been moving each of those that are not bonds for bonds. It's just it's going that direction.
Well, just like Greg said, though, that was the original scheme, the original plan to do that. You told us, like, I'm going to buy these. I like them. I'm going to keep them. But if I can use them to get a bonds, I'll do that. And you are doing that. I was just thinking in my head, Greg, it would be fun to see from all three of us the hierarchy of collecting needs, like what Alan's looks like, what yours looks like, what mine looks like, because we're all so different. But like where Alan ranks, like a bonds card he's never seen compared to like an Essential Credentials PSA 10 of a side PC guy, like, you know what I mean? How those decisions, because we make them so quick in our head, but to like visually see it would be fascinating because you and I are both like, oh yeah, we would have done that in a heartbeat. But Alan still had this like,
the only asterisk I have is if we're talking, the Vlad is a $15,000 car, something insane where I'm not going to do that. But if I'm losing 300 on it to get the card that I'm probably never going to see or I guess I'm not going to see in 5 years, 3 years, whatever. Right. I think I would do it. I don't think I would think that hard about it, especially if it was somebody who wasn't in my group of PC guys.
Mm-hmm. So 2 points on that. One is that there was actually, ironically, another copy of this card raw at the show. What? And it was by the guy who was selling this card, and he had this kind of price on it. You know what I mean? So I was just like, if I'm going to go for this card, I got to talk to the other dealer who has only slightly overpriced that card, or really overpriced, but not insanely overpriced this card. So that was the.
How did that go?
For this.
No, how did the raw conversation go?
Oh, the raw conversation went, I was like, oh, I love that card. Like I saw another one on the floor. How much are you asking for it? And he's like, I'm asking a lot, man, probably too much. And I said, try me. And he said 3,500. And I visibly winced, not because I was trying to make a face at a terrible price, but I was like, that is so ridiculously high. I can't even counter that. You know what I mean? Like where do I start? And I can't counter this. If you want $6,000 for this, we have nothing to say. But after I had already completed that dream deal that you guys are talking about, I walked up and I was like, I have nothing to lose. This show is already more successful than I could have ever imagined. I'm going to march up and say, what do you want? Like, I just popped down this box here. It's a PSA box full of stuff. I just grabbed a whole bunch of slabs that I don't absolutely need. And I said, do you want any of these? And he locked in on the MVP Glavado.
Well, that worked out because you had doubles.
And I was like, $6,000. You know what I mean? I was just like, if we're talking in your level of Monopoly money, then I want $6,000 for it. So
20 grand.
Yes. And he was hesitant. He was like, I'm going to have to pass on it. I was like, you know what? That's your bad. That's okay. You're entitled to make the wrong decision. This card is sick.
Can you say that line one more time? Because I gotta use that in the future.
You're entitled to make the wrong choice. You're entitled to take the crap of your card. It's fine. But I mean, like, I was totally confident. I was like, I already got the card I want. So this is just icing. And he was like, I just left that card on the table and slowly put away, this card and this card and Vlad. Slowly put away this card. They're like, how much is that worth? He had no idea how much any bonds cards were worth, actually. So He paused on this one as well. So there's just a lot of random stuff that I brought with me, and he locked in on that.
Got
And
So if you want to jump off the cliff, it's your death, whatever.
I am going to use that. I'm going to use that. I'm somehow in the next week, I'm using that line. My stepdad, that'll work real good on him when he's being a smart aleck for sure.
You're entitled to make the wrong decision.
Yeah, you're entitled to make the wrong choice if you want, but
yeah.
Oh, Alan, that's too good.
That's a good one.
That's the best line you've had on since we come back. I think that's my favorite. That's good.
I like that.
And he took it. He's like, you know what? In the end, actually, I said, I'll throw in $100 even, like, this is how much I want this thing to happen. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, I'll pass. And by the time he said, I'll take it, I said, do you want the 100? And he's like, no, let's just shake. And so we shook, and I walked off with the card. So cool. That is why I was floating on cloud 9.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Heck yeah.
Definitely. Those autographics, man, I love them. Those are really cool cards. I remember the basketball and baseball came out. It was so cool.
The Iverson, man. When I was in my Allen Iverson phase, I remember seeing a picture of that card being like, ooh.
Yeah. He's holding a hammer, guys. He's holding a hammer. You just realize that, right? Yeah, what? Awesome. That's awesome. Oh, man. I know one of the guys in the Facebook group said it's a lame picture, but dude, the guy's holding a hammer. I'm good.
I mean, nobody could do that nowadays in MLB. Like, nobody could get away with it. But Bonds probably brought it out, and the ump's like, never mind. You could crush me with one arm, so do what you want.
So, Ken's Cardboard asks, do you guys have spare funds to purchase big cards whenever they pop up? Which leads us into another topic that I want to talk about. I want Matt to talk about this one. Do you have spare funds to purchase big cards?
I do now. And long story short, 2 big cards came up on eBay of Fleury, and I didn't have the funds for either of them. And one of them was my number 2 most wanted. And I'm like, this isn't okay. Like, this is not okay. I love my Cujo cards. Like, I love all the side stuff. Magnon Rayom, all these cool goalie cards. I'm like, this isn't okay. From that moment, I just made the decision. I'm like, everything's going except Glass now and Fleury, minus a couple of cards that friends have given me or whatever. I'm like, that's it. And kind of springboarding off what Alan said, last time, he's like, I can't afford to pick up the Vlad PSA 10. I can't, we all want to do what Greg's doing right now. Greg's over here. He's having so much fun grabbing Martina Hingis and all this other stuff. I don't want to give it away, but like, you inspired me to do the Cujo thing. And then I realized, well, that was stupid, because if I had not bought any of those, I could have bought the 2 Flurries and not done anything, a word about it. So,
well, you know what? You're entitled to make the wrong decision.
I am. Thank you for reminding me of that. Alan, that's gold, man. So anyways, I'm happy to report that I spent 2 days. First day was a complete, not failure, but nothing. We're talking crickets for like 3-4 hours of taking pictures, dating it, coining it, taking like 50 pictures, nothing on eBay, nothing on Facebook, nothing. I'm like, this is not okay. So I got my first sale on Sunday morning at like 8 a.m. And I'm like, all right, then, $90, that's nice. Sold some, so slowly, and it just started happening, man, with about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just like everything going off. And I was able to raise the funds. I sold my Aho collection to a guy who loves the Canes like I love Fleury. So I'm happy to know that these cards are going into other places that they will be loved, not just like flipped in 2 weeks to make money. So it was the right decision. And that's how I had spare funds, so that when these cards come up, I won't be in a position where I can't afford them. And I just didn't want to do that to myself. So sad to see some of them go, but at the same time, I barely look at them. You know what I mean? Like my Jocelyn Thibault cards, I saved my 50 or 60 favorites, and a guy that has loved the Jocelyn since he was 6 years old. He's met him multiple times. It's his hero. Like, he deserves to have these cards more than me. This is perfect. And so his purchase from me is going to help me get a potential my number 1. There's a guy that Alan and I like on YouTube, and he's got part of the set, and I'm slowly hoping that he'll let the Fleury go. So just working on it.
Yeah, keep us updated. I'm excited to see you get a number 1 card. That's a big That's a big timer.
Dude, the number 2's got a good story though, man. I don't want to ruin it, but it's got a good story. So when it comes in, I will tell that story on a video. I know Alan really likes that too, just the story behind how the card came in the collection, and it's a wild one, So anyways, that's my input on that. Yeah, just ultra focusing. Tyler Glass now for baseball, Marc-Andre Fleury for hockey. That's it.
So I have a question for you about that. For me, I almost cannot bring myself to sell a card for less money than I paid for it. Like I physically can't even. There's a mental block for me. Right. So Amish Dave Archer here saying, I hate the actual process.
What's up, Dave?
What's up? Yeah. And I was just wondering, is there any block in your mind when you have to sell something for equal or less than you paid for it?
I don't know about you or Greg, if you guys have done lots, but that's how I'm able to kind of let it go. Like I sold the Aho collection for $300. I think I probably, with all the shipping charges, I definitely paid more than that for those cards, but those cards are right in that sweet spot. I think for that, I was willing to let $50 go. But if I'm like the Cujo cards, I'm like, I got to get what I paid for those because I've only owned them for like a month. So I think it kind of depends on how long you've owned something and where that player is trending. If I had, a Tim Salmon card for 4 years and Greg didn't want it, it's probably going to be, around the same, if not less. Sorry. I mean, I'm really depending on who wants it. But if it's a Larry Bird or Michael Jordan and you've owned it for 2 years, 3 years, then yeah, you better get more than what you paid unless you overpaid by a lot. So it just depends on the card on, but most of the time I want to get what I paid at the very least. Like if Greg's buying a card from me, I'll just say, just give me what I paid for it. Even if it was a year ago, I don't care. Here you go. Yeah. But if it's eBay or Facebook group, yeah, it's got to be, a little bit higher if I can. What about you?
Is that for Greg? Yeah. When you sell a card, what about you, Greg? Do you know in the back of your mind how much you paid? Is that a major factor?
So I always have a guesstimate. I'm in this rut where every time I get ready to sell a card, I think, why did I not write down how much I bought the card for?
That's true.
Did I pay $300? Did I pay $600? Did I pay $50? I don't know, but I always try to have like a guesstimate. And that's why I like PWCC, because I'd be like, I paid $187.99. That's what I paid, and yeah. I need to have an Excel spreadsheet or something. And I don't do it because eBay only keeps track for so long before it disappears on your purchase history. So for me, I typically don't sell a lot, but the stuff that I sell has usually, it's that everybody has a price thing, the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. So the stuff that I'm selling is the stuff that is accumulated in price to the point where I don't care that much about it, where I now want the money more than I want the card. I've had offers on certain cards that are more than the card is worth, but I don't want to sell the card.
Right. That's the point.
Right. But there are instances where the card I look at, I'm like, yeah, it's all right. I know it doesn't do anything for me. And now it's reached that point, it's reached the threshold. It's gone past that of, okay, now I want the money more than I want the card. And I'll put that money towards something I want even more.
I just want to springboard out that I was looking over here because I wanted to tell you what I do. If the card's worth over like $5 or more on Trading Card Database, they added this. At least I didn't notice it before. When you go to add a card, not only can you put when you go add details, you can put the serial number of the card, but you can put how much it's worth, how much you paid for it. I'm sorry. So I take off shipping and I put, if I pay 50, 10, 5, 200, 225, 221.97, like I put the amount and just round it to an amount. So not that I'm ever going to sell a Fleury, but if I ever had to, I could go back and, I paid $350 for this card, so I need to at least get that out of it. So that's the only thing that I do, with my Fleuries is anytime I put a card in, if it's over $5, I put in the value. So I know.
I use Beckett Organize. So I don't know. Beckett Organize has certain filters. I need to play with that a little bit more. They might have added something, or they might have a little comment section on the side where I could do that, because I I am OCD with my collection. I log in. Every single thing I buy sits on my desk until I log it in on Beckett Organized.
Same.
But I'm not logging in prices. So if there is a little comment section next to it, I could go ahead and do that. I just don't know if that exists because I've just not got around to making an Excel spreadsheet. I'm just not there. But
that's what's so nice about trading card database, dude, is I know it's archaic, it's very old, but the fact that you can track price and serial number even, which is great, because if you see another one pop up and it's the same serial number, you don't have to dig through your box. You're like, hold on, like what's going on here? But yeah, it's worth doing.
What do you mean by track price? It follows other cards that you put in there, or
it shows the price that I paid. I'm sorry. And there is like certain big cards, they haven't really updated it enough. It's just what people put in. So it'll show you the highest price and the lowest price and show you like a range, but that doesn't mean anything. Somebody could put in a $500 card and put $5 just to screw with it. So I don't really, but I just put in my amounts because I want to know, I want to keep track of that.
No, you should. It's a good idea. It's a good idea to track what you paid, so that if there ever comes a moment where you're going to sell, you know how much you paid for it. So absolutely. I think that's a good idea. I wish I started at the very beginning, because then I'd know exactly how much. I'd know exactly how much I paid and how much I got out of it.
I definitely did not do that until probably a month or 2 months ago. I'm like, wait, there's a price option? Like, oh, great. Like, how am I going to remember what I paid 4 years ago for a Flurry? It's hard to remember. Kind of guesstimate, but
guesstimation is the best you can possibly do. And now, with PWCC gone, Maven.io is your best bet, but it's not that great. It's not not as good as PWCC, which kept track from 2005
and 4 or something.
Yeah.
I missed that.
So real quick, with Beckett Organized, can you add non-graded cards and also cards graded from other TPGs? So you can't. You can't add anything. You can't say what it's graded by. It just says, is it a 10, a 9.5, a 9, an 8.5, an 8. And so if it's a PSA 10, I will put it's a 10, and then I will tab it with like a collection tab that says PSA, and I will throw it in the collection of PSAs. So that's what I do with Beckett Organized. But you can add all kinds of stuff. If Beckett has 95% of everything listed, so you can add it to your collection. But as far as other grading companies, there's no option for even Beckett. It just tells you what the grade is. But you can put a tab, like I have a Tim Salmon collector tab, a Frank Thomas collector tab, and so on and so on. But
can I, Alan, go ahead. You go first.
I'm sure you guys. I was just going to jump in and say that I did look at how much I paid for the Vlad. I just had kind of an inkling in the back of my mind, but I went and looked up the Facebook Messenger deal that I, logged just from having a conversation with somebody, and it ends up that I actually paid $415 delivered for that card.
Oh, dude, wow. Then you made out like a bandit.
So if you look at it from the fact that it could have been a $1,500 bill, that's one way to look at it. But the other way to look at it is I paid $415 for it. Somebody gave me $300 and an amazing bonds card for that card. So it's hard in the 90s to not sell for a higher amount than you paid for, because it's still, as Bill once put it to me privately, he said, this is like undiscovered territory still. Nobody collects 90s baseball cards except us. We think everybody does. Nobody does. Almost nobody does. So if even like 10 people come in, that makes a huge difference already in the market, because the market is not that big.
Yeah.
So I think personally it is difficult if you're collecting in the 90s in particular for cards to go down right now, even given how the overall market has been so far.
Well, go to YouTube and type in vintage baseball cards and see what pops up. Go to 2022 tops and see what pops up. Then try to look for a 90s card and see what pops up. And if it's not the essential credentials, it's almost nothing. There's not much content for 90s cards, and it's in comparison. I'm not saying people don't collect it, because basketball is blown up. You know, the 90s stuff does have collectors, but in comparison to vintage and modern, the 90s is way, 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 way down in collectors.
Do you guys remember who you found first? Because for me, it was Dead Guy Cardboard. I typed in he and Aaron Davis. I typed in 90s inserts and I found Barry Larkin and Gary Sheffield stuff. Those are my, and then Nate, of course, came afterwards. Those are the first two I found, and that was it. There was like, I typed in 90s inserts and I was getting like, you know, the $5, $2 cards. I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen these before, but those are the two guys. I was like, wow, there's actually a couple channels. How about that?
That's I want to see that. You know, that's our bread and butter. I want to see that content, but it just doesn't exist. Ken asks, where are all the 90s cards? Unopened packs? And they're in unopened packs, and they're in closets in the 10,000 count box because nobody thought they were anything. Somebody pulled the Barry Bonds PMG out of a yard sale.
Nuts, man. What a find.
Like
that was like, yeah.
And the raw one just went for $11,000 on eBay. So we basically just found like, I don't know, $12,000 to $15,000.
Unbelievable. And that was actually, isn't that the question that Ken asked? That was Nate's, although it's sad that his video got deleted. That was his topic that he was curious about, right? Like, where are they all at? And so
I think people just still don't care that much about them. You know, some people just think of it's like vintage and modern. There's nothing in between. Whatever happened in between was junk wax, and that's not true anymore. That's not true anymore.
Not even close, man.
Yeah, I was in Reno for a Rib Fest last weekend, and I was stopped at an antique shop because I called them and they said they had baseball cards, and I went in, and this guy, I mean, this guy used to play like Division I. He knows professional play. He's old. His favorite was Mickey Mantle. And I told him I collect a very narrow era of cards and just basically one player. And he said, well, what do you consider high-end? Because I told him I collect high-end bonds. And when I told him I was like $100 to $5,000, you could almost see the dollar signs like flashing in his eyes because he had no idea anybody would pay more than like $20 for like a bonds card, right? Because it was like that for the longest period of time. So nobody knows. I told him I would send him a list. I still have to reach out to give him a list of all the hot cards, but I believe that most of the cards are out of packs by now. Most of them. I mean, they still exist, but there's just not that much unbroken wax, I feel like. So they have to be out there. They're just in somebody's closet somewhere or at a locker.
The majority of them are definitely in those 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 box.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, but there are, we see them, you know, we saw the Frank Thomas Gold Embossed Finest Refractor pulled.
That was nuts.
I know. So we saw that pulled out of a box. So they're there. They are in packs. They are in packs.
The Juan Gonzalez holographics, that insert from Ionics, that was my favorite pull personally, because I remember how much I wanted that A-Rod when I was collecting it. To see that card, having broke 3 boxes of it back in 2016, to see that come out of a box was a dream come true, man. I've always wanted to see that card get pulled. So that was awesome. Yeah, they're still out there.
Yeah, there's some still in packs, and we've seen several big pulls from our 90s box breaks. So
did you guys watch the EX box break with the yellow box and the clear box? I was like, dude, there was a Bonds in there. That's the yellow variation, you know. But it was wild to see that. It was so cool to see these boxes sealed up still. Real fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. Look at that. Sold on eBay since 2006. He said it was in a box of cards that he completely forgot about.
Wild, man. Oh, that's crazy stuff.
They're there, but you just got to go find them. You know, you got to go to the storage center and find your box of 90s cards that you left and forgot about.
That's where all the Tim Salmon Prime Choice Reserves are hanging out. I'm telling you, all 99 of the rest of them are in there.
You know, at this point, I don't care anymore.
I know, right?
I'm done. I got mine. I'm good.
Do you still have it as a safe search just to see if it ever shows up on eBay?
Yeah.
I figured you would.
So I have, you know what's crazy? I had 4 different save searches for different variations of Prime Choice Reserve, where I was like, Prime Choice Reserve, UD Choice, Prime Choice Reserve, Salmon, Choice Reserve. I had it saved so many different ways, and now I can delete them, but I haven't because I'm just like, well, maybe one will pop up, and I'm gonna own that one too.
Like, especially if it's like less than $10 or $20, you got to scoop it. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, I worked so hard to find it, and Alex came in like a knight in shining armor and got it for me. So that was an epic search and an epic moment to get it. But I can breathe a sigh of relief now. It's done.
Yeah, what a big get. I think that was the last. I was talking to you, Greg, about this. I think maybe that was the last real. I mean, there's other cards you want, of course, but that's one that sort of kept you up at night, that you put bounty on. Like there are other cards like the Golden Anniversary Refractor that we'd all like of our player, but I mean that's if you can never find one, it's going to take a lifetime to find it. You don't toss and turn over a card like that, but the Prime Choice Reserve you did, and you finally got it.
Yeah,
I don't know how many of those turn cards you have
because
left.
It's numbered out of 100.
Yeah,
a card numbered out of 100, you should be able to find one. And a card numbered out of 5, you kind of don't lose sleep over because you don't really think you're going to ever get it. If a moment pops up, you go for it. But a card out of 100 from UD Choice, Collector's Choice,
the bottom of the bottom barrel, right?
You should be able to find one, or at least a picture.
Even this here too, this is just a gold script, but these like 1 out of every 3 boxes, right? From MVP retail, obviously. So 1 out of 3 retail boxes, nobody's opening MVP retail. So I saw one right when release happened and I was like, don't need to bid on that. I'll find another one. I have not seen one until that one, and it had been in a year. And then of course, I kid you not, guy on Instagram, oh, that's a cool card. I pulled that exact card during release. I'm like, oh man, like it was just kind of funny though. But seriously, some of those like not rare cards are way harder to find than the 1 out of 25 that everybody wants, And so I find those to be just as exciting and thrilling to find as the auto out of 10, because it's like MVP superscripts. I mean, you guys know those are almost non-existent from some years of players. So to find those are they're still tough even nowadays. Just want to make sure y'all know that.
I believe you. And I'll say this. It's harder to find a salmon out of 100 than it is a Griffey out of 10.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Of course.
That's a great point.
Copies of those in existence. They were worthless. They were worthless for the longest time, cash-wise, until about a narrow range of time, starting in about 2017 or thereabouts. I don't really know when
Greg started collecting salmon, basically.
You just think about how much less those cards are worth when they were pulled out of packs at the time versus now, right? Whereas, you talk about more modern cards, people are pulling big time hits out of those packs, hoping for big time money. In 1998, like if you pulled in Essential Credentials Juan Gonzalez when like nobody else is collecting, but just the most hardcore collectors, how much is even that sick card? How much do you think that card would have gone for in those days before the internet? Before the internet was commonplace. I don't know the answer to that because I wasn't there, but it wasn't that much. So it's a lot more now, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the internet and eBay. Your favorite card shop has made it so accessible for everybody. So I get it.
No joke.
Yeah. So is there any cards you guys want to show off before we call it a night?
Done mine. I'd like to see what you guys got.
Okay. I have 4, and this is Allen style. These are PSA 10s.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh. Here, I'll get you here, Greg, if you want to go for it. I
call this Allen style, PSA 10. So I've got 2 right here from 2003. Martina Hingis. You guys know I'm loving this ladies tennis. I'm on the tennis kick. I've got the 2003. This right here is the International Series. And this one is the glossy. There's only 5,000 of these. And this one is a little more pricier. So I got these for really cheap because women's tennis cards don't sell quite like baseball cards do. And it's been really fun to get some new stuff from people. Like I said, in my other video, I was saying I want to get cards of people that I enjoyed watching as a kid or grew up with. And this is one person that I did watch really often on Sports Center, and just I would turn to ESPN and Martina Hingis would be playing, and I just would never change the channel. It was just fun to watch, and she made the game really fun to watch. So I got two PSA 10s, which leads me into my next non-big sports. Dr. Doom. This is the 1995 Marvel Overpower PSA 10. There's like 5 of these graded at 10, which is surprising. I thought there'd be less, but I played this game for about 2 years. It's a really fun game. It was 95 to 97. I don't know, 96 to 90, somewhere along those lines. I played this game. It was a really cool game. I was super into comics at the time, so it made sense. My cousin taught me how to play. I bought the decks. It's a collectible card game. So I saw this as a 9, and I bought the 9, and then I saw the 10 pop up, and I was like, well, obviously I've got to get the 10.
It's just
because, this game means a lot to me. So just having a Dr. Doom, who is my favorite comic character, having that in a 10 is obviously just sure.
Can we talk about how weak his ratings are? Like,
I know.
It's Dr. Doom, man.
Yeah. So he's got a 7 in energy, which he should probably have an 8 or a 9. His fighting, okay. His strength, okay. I get that. But his energy should definitely be a 9. And if there was intellect, which I think they actually added later on, I think it was like the purple. It might be intellect or something like that. He would have definitely got a 9 on that for sure. He's a smart dude. And then I just got this yesterday, guys. This is the 91 Skybox.
So sick.
Dude, I actually bought so many packs. These were like 99-cent packs. I bought so many of these, and this is like, you remember NBA Inside Edition on NBC? Like this is like the classic. This reminds me of that so much with the design. There's a ton of PSA 10s, but this is just more of I bought so many packs of this. It means something to me. This is not an investment thing. This is Greg goes off the deep end in his passion kind of thing. There's so this is number 12. There's a number 591 on the second. I think it's Series 2, which I have incoming as well. And like I said, there's a ton of PSA 10s, but I am super happy to own those.
Awesome, dude. Sweet. Oh, gotcha.
Do I have any Masterpiece cards? I have a few. I'm trying to get, I used to own Series 1, 2, and 3 on the Marvel cards and all of the holograms, but I sold them I think I sold them at the yard sale, man. Somebody ripped me off like a Barry Bonds PMG. They're gone.
Can I just say, Ray, many of us were, my friend.
I was a fan of hers as well, but I mean, she went out in the first round. I feel like it was hard to watch her in the deep rounds, right? So Kingus was always there back then. She was
Anna had a few good years, right?
Anna was pretty garbage in terms of tournaments. She didn't go very far. Maria Sharapova actually did better.
Yes,
but that's for a different kind of podcast.
I do want to say I want to give Greg some credit here. My mom's birthday was a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of thinking like, I need to get her a gift that's in my wheelhouse. And Greg doing the Martina Hingis stuff got me thinking like, you know what? I should go that route. Her favorite player growing up was Chris Everett. And she like idolized her like I do still in a way Dwayne Wade growing up. He inspired me to become a good basketball player. So I went and looked for cards. And of course, they have those Topps Transcendent autos of like $300. I'm like, my mom is not going to appreciate this card $300, like that much appreciation. So I found a Chris Everett racket that she owned one exactly like it in high school. I mean, this racket was basically brand new, and I got it for like $25 shipped here. And to see her open it up last night or 2 nights ago at dinner and just like, no way, look at the condition. It's the exact one I used in high school. And then we started talking about my grandpa. Like, Anyway, it was way better than I expected. And she's going to hang it in her workout room. And she was like overjoyed to have me surprised her with that. So I got to give Greg some big props here because you got me thinking like I should go down that route. And it was awesome, man. She loved it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear, man. I'm glad that she enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you guys, those are things that you're gonna always remember, and she'll always remember. That's really important. So I'm glad you got to experience that.
I didn't tell her that my buddy Greg, who collects Martina Hingis cards, is the reason I got this. But maybe I'll get to that at some point. But it was cool though.
The details don't matter; the action does. So you followed through on that. So good job, man.
Yeah, man. I was going to get a card, but there wasn't anything out there. So I went for option B. Yeah. So I'll go real quick, Alan. I only have 3. I want to show this one first because Greg got pretty excited about this one. The old metal card, the Cast for Greatness. Let's see if I can get it to. There we go. So this is in Upper Deck Synergy, and they're not really doing this product right now because they're all acetate base cards and they're hard for them to make. But it's nice. Metal card. So it's pure metal card, and it definitely goes back to like the molten metal, right? I really appreciate seeing cards that remind me of the 90s and having this whole set be acetate like the EX cards and then have these metal inserts in there. I love it. So I had to, it's only like $20. I mean, how do I pass up a card I don't have for $20?
Yeah. I love metal cards, man. Metal cards are awesome.
Me too. Is it the same material as like the Pinnacle printing plates?
More or less, yeah. I compared it to, you guys both know that, what's that insert set called? A Molten Metal. It was like 1 out of 4 packs, and the cards are like circular-ish.
Yeah.
And they're metal. Exactly like that.
It was like Express. I don't know, whatever it was.
I can't remember it. Anyways, I have another. This is a modern insert that harkens back to Ryan's here, so you'll appreciate this. The Premier Padman from the 90s. You know those gold ones that are die cut that say Padman across the top? Well, they brought them back in 2014, and this one just came in, thankfully, yesterday. And it's, obviously got the rainbow foil shine going on, but really, really cool card. Nice, What's that, Alan?
When you see Fleer Ultra, it just gives you the warm and fuzzies, It's just like, it's probably going to be awesome, and it is in this case.
For sure. No, they did justice. And I've only seen like 3 of these come up for sale in the last 3 years, like 1 per year. And every time they want like $100 or $50 or something. So that was only 15. And I was just like,
wow.
Last one I'm going to show. And Alan knows the Be a Player series. Alan hooked me up with the Be a Player Auto. I think from this same year, Alan, if I'm correct, this is the Players Club edition from this set. Is this the same set that you got me that autograph from? Let's see if it'll actually grab it or not, but probably not. But this is the parallel to the base set, and they only had 1 parallel, and this is out of 25. So
that was 0809. What year is this?
This is 0910.
Okay, 0910. Next year then.
So the following year, yeah. And these Players Clubs are really tough. My buddy Kelvin, who I have on the round table, he found a Brodeur. He's like, dude, you got to find a flurry of this. And it was up for $10. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And the seller, man, talk about good packaging, like 3 layers of cardboard. And this is nice and sandwiched in there. I'm like, man, I love when people go to those lengths to make sure my card's protected. So yeah, it's in my favorite mask. Super, super happy. And honestly, I don't know if I'll see another one of those in a long time. I mean, those out of 25 cards are darn near impossible to find on the open market. You have to dig them out of somebody's collection who's like, oh, I think I got one actually. Let me look. And oh yeah, here it is. So yeah, really happy with those.
Yeah, you're like, go ahead and look for that, please.
How many times did you say, can you look for that Prime Choice Reserve?
Like, please do look for it. Like, I'm gonna probably bother you every day now. So just heads up.
If you tell me you might have it, you're gonna get some messages every week or every day. So
yeah.
Anyways, those are 2. I haven't shown 2 of those off in a video yet, so I'll probably save those. But yeah, pretty excited to get these flurries in and sell other stuff that I don't want as much to get them.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Very cool. So next week, we're going to talk about next week real quick. We have Richard Black from the SFI, which we're going to talk to him. We want you guys to ask us questions, comments, concerns, anything you have to mention or want to know about Superior Fit We are going to be talking to him next week and interviewing him. It's going to be exciting to just learn, why he went the way he went, and I'm excited to interview him. So the thing though is I want, there's three of us, but we can only think of so many things. And if you guys have some questions, I've already got some really good questions. So I'm interested in figuring out what you guys want to talk about or what you want to be asked from him, because when we do interview him, I want to make sure that we cover everything.
Super excited to have him on, man, because we've been using his products for the last few years. I mean, I remember when I finally found it was called Perfect Fit Sleeves or something on eBay. And man, somebody in a video used them, and then you found them, and Alan was starting to use them. Like, they're just the best quality out there. I can't wait to hear about some of his stories of where he got his inspiration and how things have been going for him lately. It's going to be fun to have him on.
Yeah, it seems like our group and most people exclusively use that, that use those sleeves because they fit so good, and it is a perfect fit. I love those. I have literally a pack for every size mag case, top loader. I even have some pro mold ones. I have PSA, BGS. I literally have $100 to $200 worth of sleeves just because I know I'm going to use them.
Well, I have that huge lot of bonds cards, and I was thinking you either put them in binder pages or you put them in top loaders, and like thousands of cards in top loaders was the plan. So I have like hundreds, maybe thousands of perfect fit sleeves for top loaders that I haven't used yet because I gotta go through that process. But that's a gigantic industrial sized box of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking to the founder.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Again, ask us questions. Relay it to us, message us, whatever you want to do, so that we can relay it to him and ask him. And maybe it's something he's not even thought about, and now he'll put it into play. I'm sure he likes to hear ideas from his customers. So if you have some thoughts, let's talk about it, and then that way we can relay it to him and maybe get it make it actually happen.
That's going to be fun to see if there's something you get him going like, that's actually kind of interesting, because I'm excited to try. He's going to send something my way that I'm going to try for us just to see if we can maybe convince other people to give it a shot. So I do want to give Ryan, Southern Card Collector, he did a whole pro mold thing. It'd be cool to do one like that of perfect fit sleeves. I don't know if we collabed or each one of us went through what we use, but it'd be kind of fun to do that and show everybody. I think there's a lot of people out there that still don't know about it because they're not on eBay as much, So
yeah, definitely.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, it was a good show, episode 65. The next one is 66 with Richard Black from Superior Fit. Be here next week. Usually we do every 2 weeks, but I got some stuff coming up. So next week we are going to make it happen. Be here so that you can see us fit stuff into sleeves. All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, fellas.
Bye.